Welcome to Mindful Moments. Nourish your mind on the go. This audio uses AI narration to present our original book analysis. Today we're diving into Agatha Christie's classic Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah.
We've got some intriguing excerpts from the book itself, so let's see what we can uncover together.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece of suspense. And the setting is practically a character itself. The luxurious Orient Express stranded by a snowstorm. The isolation really heightens the drama, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It creates this intense, almost claustrophobic atmosphere where everyone is a suspect. And speaking of suspects, Christie introduces us to a fascinating cast of characters right from the start. We've got the wealthy and mysterious Ratchet, the seemingly efficient but kind of anxious Mary Debenham, and of course the authoritative Princess Dragomirov.
Each passenger is so carefully crafted, with their own secrets and potential motives. It's almost like Christie is presenting us with a puzzle box, and it's up to us and the brilliant Hercule Poirot to figure out how all the pieces fit together.
And it's quite a coincidence that the famous detective happens to be on board, isn't it?
Perhaps a bit too convenient. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about the murder itself. The discovery of Ratchet's body in his locked compartment is truly shocking. Multiple stab wounds. A seemingly impossible crime scene. It's a classic locked room mystery.
The initial assumption is that the murderer escaped through the open window. But the snow outside tells a different story. It really sets the stage for a thrilling investigation, with Poirot as our guide.
Boussaint, a director of the company, he's quite desperate to avoid any complications with the authorities. He practically begs Poirot to take on the case.
And Poirot's investigation is a meticulous process, full of twists and turns. He uncovers these conflicting accounts from passengers, discovers a mysterious scarlet kimono that no one seems to claim, and even finds a conductor's pass key among Hildegard Schmidt's possessions.
Fascinating how Christie uses red herrings to keep us guessing. At first, suspicion falls on the Italian passenger, Antonio Fossarelli, but his alibi provided by Masterman seems to clear him. And then there's the handkerchief with the initial H pointing towards Princess Dragomirov, or so we think.
It seems like every clue leads to another dead end or unexpected twist. But Poirot, with his incredible attention to detail, starts to notice these seemingly insignificant details that others overlook. Even something like Ratchet's inability to speak French becomes a crucial piece of the puzzle.
That's what makes Poirot such a brilliant detective. He understands that the truth often lies hidden in plain sight. He observes everything, analyzes every detail, and gradually starts to piece together the truth.
Yeah, and like you were saying, that French speaker, the conductor overhears someone speaking fluent French in Ratchet's compartment shortly before the murder, which is odd, considering Ratchet himself only spoke English.
That really throws a wrench into things. If Ratchet couldn't speak French, then who was in his compartment? It completely changes the timeline of the murder.
It certainly does.
Yeah.
And then there's that pipe cleaner. Poirot establishes that Ratchet only smokes cigars. Makes the presence of a pipe cleaner in his compartment quite strange.
It's almost too obvious, isn't it? Colonel Arbuthnot is very quick to point out that he smokes a pipe and uses that type of cleaner. Is he trying to mislead Poirot?
It's definitely suspicious. Poirot wonders if Arbuthnot is intentionally drawing attention to himself, perhaps to divert suspicion from someone else. Misdirection seems to be a recurring theme in this case. Remember the handkerchief with the initial H?
Yeah, initially it seems to point to Princess Dragomirov, but as we learn later, there's a clever twist.
Exactly. Poirot, with his keen eye, notices that the H is embroidered in a distinctly Russian style. Turns out it's a Cyrillic H, which is the equivalent of N in the Russian alphabet. The princess was cleverly using her knowledge of languages to throw everyone off the scent.
It's brilliant. But just as we think we're getting closer to the truth, we're hit with another baffling clue. The scarlet kimono.
The kimono is a real enigma. Several passengers report seeing someone wearing it, yet no one claims ownership. It appears and disappears, adding another layer of mystery to the investigation.
And to make matters even more complicated, the kimono mysteriously appears in Poirot's own luggage. It's almost like the murderer is taunting him.
Rather than being intimidated, Poirot sees this as a challenge. He knows the killer is trying to distract him, but he's determined to unravel the truth, no matter how tangled the web becomes.
It's amazing how Poirot uses these seemingly insignificant details, the language spoken, a pipe cleaner, a handkerchief, a scarlet kimono, to piece together the bigger picture.
He recognizes that every detail, no matter how small, could be a vital clue, and as he meticulously gathers and analyzes these clues, he begins to suspect that the murder is not a random act. but a carefully orchestrated plan.
And this is where the investigation takes a dramatic turn, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Through his careful observations and deductions, Poirot starts to realize that the passengers on the Orient Express are not strangers. They're connected, bound by a shared history linked to the infamous Armstrong kidnapping case.
That completely changes our understanding of the case, turning it from a simple whodunit into a complex tale of revenge.
This revelation adds layers of depth and intrigue, forcing us to re-examine everything we thought we knew about the characters and their motives. But how does Poirot figure out this connection? What leads him to this shocking truth?
It's like he's cracked a secret code, revealing a hidden world beneath the surface.
Precisely, and that's what makes the next part of this investigation so compelling. Poirot begins to see the passengers in a new light, uncovering their hidden pasts and their connections to the Armstrong family.
So we're left with this huge question. How does Poirot connect these seemingly random passengers to the Armstrong case? They're from different countries, different walks of life. It just seems impossible.
Yeah, this is where Poirot's genius truly shines. He doesn't just rely on physical evidence, he delves into the psychology of each passenger, observing their reactions, probing for inconsistencies in their stories, noticing the smallest details that reveal those hidden connections.
Okay, give us an example. What kind of detail would reveal something like that?
Let's take Mrs. Hubbard. She presents herself as this harmless, even slightly overbearing American mother. But Poirot notices her intense interest in the Armstrong case, almost an unnatural fascination. And he remembers that Mrs. Armstrong's mother, Linda Arden, was a famous actress.
Wait, are you suggesting Mrs. Hubbard is actually Linda Arden in disguise?
Precisely. Poirot sets a trap. Mentioning that creating such a convincing persona would require an artist, Mrs. Hubbard slips up, revealing her theatrical background with a comment about rehearsing.
That's incredible. It's like something out of a play itself. But what about the other passengers? How did he unravel their connections?
Well, he employs similar tactics. Using his sharp observation skills and understanding of human nature, he notices Colonel Arbuthnot's fierce defense of Mary Debenham, even though they claim to have just met. This suggests a deeper connection, perhaps a shared history related to the Armstrong family.
So he's looking for those cracks in their facade, those moments where their true emotions and connections slip through.
Exactly. And consider Hildegard Schmidt, the maid. Poirot suspects she was once a cook in the Armstrong household, based on her culinary expertise, something a lady's maid wouldn't necessarily possess.
It's mind-boggling how Poirot assembles this intricate puzzle, using psychology, keen observation, even intuition.
He's like a master chess player, carefully maneuvering each suspect, anticipating their moves, and waiting for the right moment to strike.
And the final checkmate comes when he gathers all the passengers and presents not one, but two possible solutions.
This is brilliant storytelling on Christie's part. The seemingly plausible explanation of an outside intruder versus the shocking truth, a collective act of revenge.
And then in a truly dramatic moment, Mrs. Hubbard, or rather Linda Arden, steps forward revealing her true identity and confirming Poirot's second solution. She delivers this powerful monologue about the pain Ratchet caused, the man who destroyed her daughter's life.
It's a heartbreaking scene, forcing us to confront the devastating consequences of Ratchet's actions and understand why these passengers went to such lengths to seek justice.
And in the end, Poirot, recognizing the moral complexities of the situation, chooses not to pass judgment. He leaves it to Embark and Dr. Constantine to decide which solution to present to the authorities.
It's a powerful commentary on the limitations of justice, the blurred lines between right and wrong, and the question of whether vengeance can ever truly bring closure.
What an incredible deep dive into Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express. This story is so much more than a simple whodunit. It's a journey into the human psyche, exploring themes of revenge, morality, and the very nature of justice itself.
From the luxurious setting and the diverse cast of characters, to the meticulously crafted clues and the shocking reveal, Murder on the Orient Express is a masterpiece of suspense that will stay with you long after you turn the final page.
If this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, we highly recommend picking up a copy of Murder on the Orient Express. You won't be disappointed. You can find a link to purchase the book in the show notes.
And don't forget to subscribe to Mindful Moments for more fascinating book deep dives. We'll see you next time.